Today we're talking about phantom pain and invisible wounds.
I'm expecting happiness and freedom and us being able to go out and explore, spend more time together. But instead, I have a spouse who's sleeping half the day.
My body is thinking that it's being shot again. It's never been explained. The doctors have never said, look, it's this, we can fix this.
I probably would have continued to put blame on him. We probably would have ended up being divorced because it was hard enough already as it was.
Danger X.
All right, so today we're talking about phantom pain and invisible wounds. So what is that?
So phantom pain is actually a phenomenon that is commonly experienced among military veterans, and it has to do with an injury that may have resulted in a loss of nerve endings, having some surgery, maybe body parts, amputees experience this, where the part is no longer there, or there's an idea of that already being healed, and yet there are some lasting effects of having pain or sensation in those areas, missing those arms or legs and still saying, hey, there's pain there. And so they call it phantom pain because it's no longer there, or that there's no longer an expectation that you'll experience pain in that area, but you do. And this is actually a phenomenon that a lot of people experience, but is not something that is explained enough or very well, especially in the medical field. So, but we want to talk about it on the more personal level, how it actually shows up and what happens to the ripple effects there with the family members, and maybe the patterns or the ways that it can impede healing and growth.
So this impacts us directly. So if you're looking at me right now, I have all my limbs, but I was shot through the chest. Bullet went in the front, came out the back, and I have lasting phantom pain from that. A lot of nerve endings were damaged. Luckily it missed my heart, so I didn't bleed out, but it did nick my spine. There was some bleeding in my lungs. I had to reinflate the lung. And for years afterwards, it's still now, but it's starting to become less frequent 20 years later, I have debilitating phantom pain. For the first couple years after this happened, it was, a couple times a month, then it became monthly, and now it's a couple times a year. But when it happens, my body is thinking, and my nerves are thinking that it's being shot again. And I'm done. I have to sit in a dark room, drink cold water. I used to check in a lot to the ER at the VA, or just thought, was I having a heart attack? And I just sit there. It's never been explained. The doctors have never said, look, it's this, we can fix this. It's a rib, we can fix this broken rib. It's nerve pain.
I remember the explanation was scar tissue, like what you're experiencing.
Oh yeah, they did
is
say scar
just
tissue at one time.
the leftover effects of scar tissue. And so just go home, and yeah, there's nothing we could do about it. You could take some Tylenol or pain medicine or whatnot, but that's kind of it. And I think for me, on the family members' end, is that okay if I move into
Get in there.
What it looked like for me as the spouse is that my husband gets out of the military. I'm expecting happiness and freedom, and us being able to go out and explore, spend more time together. But instead, I have a spouse who's sleeping half the day, who's waking up very late, who I don't know when he's going to be able to come out and be present with me. And sometimes he'd be able to rally and do something, but I could tell there was so much fatigue, there was so much wear, and I couldn't predict when we would be able to have some good days. And I think that pretty much was...
In the severe moments, I'd just be crouched in a corner, just curled into a ball in bed, just unable to move.
Yeah. And so, because I didn't know what this was, we didn't know, that nobody could explain what this was. And on top of that, we were no longer attached to the military. So there's nobody coming back to kind of help normalize what we're experiencing. We're kind of just thinking, this is maybe, our own thing that we have to deal with, right? And I think that it actually contributed to our relationships deteriorating and having some severe stress reactions together shortly after him getting out. I would say it probably lasted, I don't know, a good solid 2 years, I think. That was my experience. And how did we get out of that, right? Like there is something about somehow us holding on without the extra resources and help from the outside VA explaining things, right?
Unfortunately, I don't think we have a solution. It's just become less frequent. The symptoms have slowed down a bit. They haven't gone away. They're still, when they come, they're still severe, but just less frequent. So it's, look, it's a couple times a year. Okay, let me sit in a dark room with a beer a couple times a year and just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Versus every other day when I got out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the hope to send out is what we are, how many years post-war?
Well,
post-deployment.
Post being shot
Yeah.
was 2006, 2007, so like
almost
19 years.
Yeah. I'm not saying for couples out there like it might take that long, but I just want to kind of give some hope that we still may not have answers, or answers still may not come, but that, you can bounce back in some way. Your brain does bounce back, so your body can bounce back if you put in, I think for us, there was a pursuit. I saw you continuously have a pursuit for health and physical fitness. That was already something that you had built in for you. And that, I think that weekly soccer, I feel like that one was like a saving grace. Yeah. Like a saving grace, because that one was already built in you. That was like muscle memory. Like you would just
I had
go
to get my
rain or
weekly
shine.
footy.
Yeah, he did. And that was one of the saving graces. Time was another saving grace. And I think maybe because I have the mental health background, there's a bit more compassion.
You hanging in there.
Of me hanging in there, but I still really didn't know. I still didn't really know the impact of what happened for him. And so my big awakening was actually seeing documentation of the amount of exposure that he had. And that moment of like, holy crap. Okay, now I could see why he's wiped out, and now that makes sense. And I have to owe it to the person that actually did try to pursue finding out and talking about what happened and hearing that stories. Because if I didn't see any of that, I probably would have continued to put blame on him, for not being there for the marriage. We probably would have, end up being divorced, because it was hard enough already as it was, and having that information that we had was still hard enough. But hanging in there and knowing that there is going to be this development that will occur, right? Like you have these phases, there's this transition coming out of the military, and there are some major impacts that are going to be very much felt. And it's not all green pastures, right, when you get out, but somehow knowing that there will be a reckoning and awareness that comes from, like, you'll be able to look back and see. And I want to give hope to people to know that, like, this is a normal thing that can happen. It's a phenomenon. You get that phantom pain, the invisible wounds. And
I think also, short of having like severe phantom pain, let's say somebody who's not, say, physically missing a limb or having been shot, in somewhere, they're still, especially if they've been in extended long-term combat or even short-term combat, they're riding high on endorphins, and then there's and then especially with like repeated deployments, it's going to take a while to come back down and to reintegrate, and it's measured in years and decades.
Yeah. So chime in here if there's anything else that you'd want to add to this, but I think the takeaway here is that hopefully you don't feel so alone in the transition coming out of the military and experiencing these patterns or these cycles, right, of your partner not being available, your partner being out and down for the count, and you feeling like they're not approachable, or there's emotions that come out that you're not able to deal with. And I think that it's important to know that this is a period, this is a transition, this is a normal transition that occurs when you come out. And it does come with reconnecting with what physical ailments there are. That's okay, right? And allowing space for that veteran to be able to come out of it and perhaps not looking down on that period and using that to build a space of like, hey, how is this happening for you? What can we get? Can we talk here in a real way? Can we seek counseling? Because I want to know what your world is about right now, and I'm feeling kind of shut out. And giving perspective to see the bigger picture. This is a time frame, this is a snapshot in your life that will eventually come back down. And when you come back down, that's when you can know that we can clearly reflect together on what has just occurred and what has just happened. And maybe we won't have the answers anymore, or we won't have the answers like we didn't have earlier, but I think there's a little more distance from how hard it feels, and just pursue wanting more.
So I'd like
for
to
yourself
add
and
one
the
point
relationship.
that is very much overlooked in any conversation about healing after trauma. I feel like the knee-jerk reaction is give the 911, give the hospital number,
Yes.
tell people to go to a therapist. These people are full of shit. All right, so something that's worked for me is when I've come across somebody who was in a battle that I was in, or is also a combat vet, it's like an instant connection. We just connect with each other. And I think some of my best just opening up, reliving, healing moments have been, it doesn't need to be with a beer. It can be just walking. It can be playing a sport. Something can be happening, around you, some kind of event, but you're with somebody else who you feel comfortable opening up with. And so I'd also just kind of like to offer, myself, if you'd like to DM through the link or something, and maybe we can connect, or I can help connect you with somebody who was there with you at the time. I can, facilitate some interactions. It's just something that resonates in my background that feels, like there's a connection with you. Reach out and let's, I'm not trained or anything, but I have some similar experiences, and let's talk about it.